What is up, everybody? I hope you are having a fantastic evening. It's Tuesday, so that means we got to have a little show here with my guy. But we're going to talk about the Brock Purdy contract, his injury. We're going to talk a little bit about what's been going on in the season. How do we feel about it? Is there a big trade that needs to be made? We're going to discuss those things plus more next. All right, welcome back to Last Second Sports, where we are giving you our take down to the last second, and it's Tuesday, which means I got my guy, So Real, Sunil, in the building. What's up, Sunil?
Two things. One, you need to get a new avatar or AI, whatever, for your intro because you're much slimmer, man. You slimmed down, and that guy still got the doughboy face, and now you got it sucked in. So that needs to change. And two, I just want to say, Jesse, I hope in life I could lose a step and still have the type of game that CMC had on Sunday night, man. I hope I'm as washed one day as CMC was on Sunday, my friend.
Yeah, I feel like you shot your shot 2 weeks too early on this one. Right? Like you shot your shot.
It was a premonition. It was a premonition, and you still need to apologize to my man CMC.
I got you. So this is like what's that movie where basically like they avoid death and then it just like keeps happening and everybody ends up dying.
Final Destination.
Yeah, this is like a Final Destination premonition that you got. Yeah. I see. Don't get on the plane, Jesse. Don't do it. It's really funny to me that after one game, everybody's chest pumps out after the one game, but for 6 weeks, people were hush-hush on this one, and now we're feeling good about it. You weren't hush-hush, but most people, a lot of people get on Twitter and run their mouth, but they wait till that one game. It's like, listen, you get that flash in a pan. My man's now averaging 3.5 yards. I'm pumping my chest out. He hasn't lost a step, Jesse. What are you talking about? I love it.
Yeah, you're right. And usually when they trying to hit you up, or hold you accountable on Twitter, it's usually the people that would never want to see you in person. So I get that, but I get that, my guy. So let's not, you not them, I'm not them. I've been saying apologize, but you know what? Maybe you shouldn't apologize. The more you don't apologize, the more he just keeps coming back with the bigger and bigger game.
Listen, if I can be CMC's motivation, then I'm going to say it right now. CMC, I'm going to take it a step further because I've been saying he's lost a step. That doesn't mean he's washed. And everybody, I might as well say that he's washed because everybody, that's the juju that people put on me. Like, oh, I thought he was washed. I never said that, but okay. So I might as well say it because I'm accused for it anyway. So listen, CMC, man to man, if you need motivation, brother, you are washed. No, I'm just joking. He's clearly not washed.
Hey, producer, clip that, send it to the internet.
Yeah, it's already, I can't wait for that one. All right, man. Well, that's a great segue because one of the topics on the docket is the run game fixed? CMC had his best game of the season. The 49ers clearly saw a weakness within the Atlanta Falcons. George Kittle comes back, makes a massive, massive impact, even though he didn't catch a single football. Is the run game fixed by your estimation? What do you think, Sunil?
I've been the guy that's been pounding the table, telling you that we'll be fine. CMC is still legit. There's issues that are outside of his control. He's been, it's an injury that he needs to ramp up. He hasn't played football in a long time. So with that being said, Jesse, I think you know my answer. I don't know. Because the reason is, look, the reason is
so much confidence. I did not expect to go. All right, that was good.
No, but the reality is, look, CMC having a big game. Obviously, Kittle being there, I think, like you mentioned, is a big deal. But we have to be honest that the Atlanta Falcons are a team that isn't very good at stopping the run. So it could have been a combination of a lot of things that all went the right way to make the running game look the way that it is. So I'm going to be of the cautious on this and say, let's wait till next week. Next week, I know we have a good defense that we're going against in Houston. If the run game could look just as good or similar, then I would, be confident saying that they're back. Right now, it's hard to say just because it is one game, like you mentioned. But I do think that signs are pointing in the right direction because, Jesse, I do think that it does take a running back like CMC some time to get his legs under him after such a long layoff. Obviously, Kittle being there is huge for the run game. And, as this team gets healthier and healthier, as I think Kyle Shanahan is able to call plays with, his true talent there, I think that, it's gonna look better and better, but not yet ready to say that the running game is back. But I'm definitely feel like it's on the right track.
Yeah, I don't know if the running game is fixed per se. What I will say is that George Kittle brings a level that raises the floor. So when it gets bad, like it did without George Kittle, where you're averaging 2.8 yards a carry for a full game, or maybe 3.0 yards per carry for a full game, I think that ceiling raises to something closer to the 4-yard mark. And George Kittle brings that because it's not just what George Kittle brings as an individual, it's what he brings to the whole pass catching room. All the receivers had a little more pep in their step blocking this week. It wasn't just George Kittle. And George Kittle allows them to do things that other tight ends don't. And this is why George Kittle is the best tight end in the game. How many guys at the tight end position can truly impact a game without even making a single reception? This is like the two-way player in the NBA, like Kawhi Leonard when he was at his best. He's a guy that could get you 14 points, and it's like, well, not that great, but he just shut down the superstar on the other end. And it's rare that you get this. You got a lot of guys in the league right now that are phenomenal pass catchers. They're up there, and if it's just strictly who's the best pass catching tight end in the league, Kittle probably isn't that guy anymore. But when you add in the totality of what he brings to the table, being able to impact the game without making a single catch, that speaks volumes. So yeah, with George Kittle in, the ceiling is higher, the floor is higher, and it doesn't mean that it's fixed, but it means that you can get by and run the ball with confidence game in and game out. And as long as that floor is closer to that, 3.7 to 4.2 yards per carry, you can make things shake, and this offense can really roll. So,
yeah, and I mean, I know you're way better at the all 22 than I am, Jesse. And I don't know if you've actually gotten a chance or if you looked at it, but it does seem like Kyle Shanahan was doing something different in the run game. This game, he wasn't doing his normal, blocking schemes with the offensive line. Looks like he threw in some things that Atlanta wasn't ready for, and that really helped open up some major rushing lanes for CMC, which he took advantage of. So I think it's going to be interesting to see next week. Obviously, I think the defense that they're going against next week is going to be better. And if they could keep it up, then yeah, I mean, I think the offense can be scary if that run game gets back to what it could be.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Well, listen, we've had a lot of talks about the trade deadline, and we're going to continue to do so until it comes up here in a couple weeks. But, every week I feel like this is something that we've got to revisit a little bit. So do you think they should go all in? And I want you to explain this to me because this was your topic as well. And I want to know what you mean by all in before I give you a full answer.
Sure.
So you said strictly, should they go all in? What does that look like to you?
So to me, all in is mortgaging your future to get better for right now. So, there's a lot of, speculation, and some of it could be Twitter speculation. Some of it could be, from actual people with sources. But, how much should the 49ers actually give up to get, and mainly on the defensive line, right? With Huff being out for another, for now, potentially a few weeks. Should they go after a guy like Crosby? Should they go after a person like Hendrickson? Like, if these people are available, should they give up high draft capital and mortgage some of their future to be able to get a stud like that right now. That's my definition of what going in all in is.
Oh man, I personally still am of the oak. No, I've thrown out a couple names that I would be interested in, and I think that the 49ers are going to be interested in. We got to remember that Robert Saleh was just with the New York Jets.
Mm-hmm.
And while he was with the New York Jets, there are 2 first-round picks that were made that were edge rushers. Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson. The Jets are an absolute dumpster fire at this point, okay? So they're probably going to move at least one of those guys, if not both of those guys. I think that's the type of trade that the 49ers should be looking at. I have changed a little bit from saying, hey, don't make any trade to, all right, listen, I'm willing to make a small trade here. You give up a maybe a 5th round pick, something like that. Go get a guy, 4th round pick, slightly, I might be okay with as well. I'm just not willing to give up the big pick for a Max Crosby or a Trey Hendrickson or something crazy like that. It doesn't make any sense. This team's timeline, to me, that would be similar. Obviously, a different player and a proven asset, but it would be similar to when the 49ers Super Bowl window was wide open and they drafted Trey Lance, a developmental quarterback. Like those 2 timelines don't match up. Getting Trey Hendrickson right now as a 1-year rental or going to get Max Crosby when you've got all these other high contracts and you're going to have to move on from somebody else next year to make room for that Max Crosby deal or just deplete the depth of this whole thing. The timelines just don't match. They don't match. And the 49ers are building something really special, in my opinion. They're getting a lot of these young players the much needed playing time that they're going to need in order to develop and grow and keep this team afloat 2, 3, 4 years down the road. The depth seems to be much better than at least what I thought going into the year. So overall, when I look at it, keep the timeline, and going to get a guy like Jermaine Johnson or Will McDonald, that does that. These guys are only like 25, 26 years old. They're 3, 4 years into the league. You can make a move like that and keep them on the roster going forward and have it make an impact. Going to get a guy who's 32 next year and Trey Hendrickson or Max Crosby, who's coming up, I believe, on 30 here shortly and is making stupid quarterback money when you're already paying Nick Bosa quarterback money and you got Brock Purdy, who's the 7th highest paid quarterback in the league, AAV. It just doesn't make a lot of sense for me. So, no, I wouldn't go all in based off of that definition.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that the 49ers should. I don't think the 49ers will. I think that, excuse me, I've been pretty clear. And I know, actually, I was talking to you before this, because, right now I'm getting dragged on Twitter for statements that I had made pre-season. And I do think that John Lynch has kind of, I'm not John Lynch, I'm sorry, York has kind of drew a line in the sand this year as to, look, we're not going to do anything splashy this offseason. We're not going to mortgage our future this offseason. I really need to see you guys do it with what you guys have built, the blank checks that I have written, in the past. I need to see what you guys could do with the team that you guys wanted, that I gave you. And I can't keep mortgaging my future just in case it doesn't work out, right? And I think that holds true. I personally, and Jesse, I don't know if your mindset has changed. I'm still not confident that John Lynch has free reign over and is guaranteed to be back next season if this team doesn't, definitely if they don't make the playoffs. But to me, I still think like this is a team that needs to win a Super Bowl with everything that they've invested and everything that that Jed York has paid out of contracts over the tenure of John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. I'm still of the mindset that even with all of these injuries, I don't know if that buys them, because I think John Lynch's contract is done after this season, right? Does he? I don't know if he has another year.
Yeah, I think this year and then next year is Shanahan. Yeah.
Yeah. So if there is no talk about extension, right? You would think that the way that they're going, people are talking like, oh, this team like John Lynch is coming back. I don't know if that's true. I personally still think that even though everything is going much better than maybe people expected, it's still not enough. If I'm Jed York, that look, this team has to perform and show me I can't make a decision after 7 weeks that you guys have figured it out, right? Like I need to see the whole season. And the fact that there's a GM going into a lame year, right? That's not a good sign. to me, I still think that this team has to. The expectations from Jed York, I think, are much higher than maybe some of the fan base, and and I don't think he's willing to give up first round, second round, third round capital to see if things can work out this year. He's done that already. He's done those type of moves. He's paid people and all this kind of stuff. So to me, I think that if they do make a trade, it's going to be for a lower draft pick. I think some of the names you brought up would be, exceptional, but I don't see them trading a third or a fourth even. Like, I think this is going to be a fifth, sixth, seventh round pick, something like they've done in the past where it's either, somebody that hasn't performed up to their draft position or has potential. And I think Kyle Shanahan has made it clear they're not doing 1 year rentals. They want to do somebody that's as contracted till at least through the 2026 season. So yeah, I think it's not going to be a splash move that a lot of people are talking about. I think that a lot of people are excited because the season is going much better than maybe what the roster looked like if all these injuries happen. But I think the standard's still much higher than just, mortgaging the future and betting it all on this season.
Yeah, I think so as well. And, I think a fourth round pick could be a possibility for the guys that I mentioned, only because Robert Saleh would have his hand in this, right? And both those guys are under contract for next year as well. And usually the 49ers are set up with some good comp picks. So, maybe if they have a fourth round comp, then it's like, all right, not that big of a deal. You slide back 20 spots. You still got your fourth round comp and you go get the player. But I don't think anything higher than that. And I think they would prefer not to give up a fourth for sure. But I think that something like that they might be willing to part with. But I agree. First, second, third round pick and a big money guy to boot, especially on a potential rental. Nah, man, it doesn't make any sense. And even Kyle Shanahan himself was asked about making a trade a couple weeks ago. I think it was before the Bucks game. And he even talked about how it has to match the timeline and they've got to balance the now versus the future, which tells me that that's coming from the top down. That is a Jed York thing. They are talking future. There is a reason why they cut all the contracts that they did. They are trying ultimately to them, much like to me in the way that I've been talking, I think 2026 and beyond was always where their eyes were pointed to. They've just kind of hit like lightning in a pan here and have a chance to make a run this year, but they're not going to go all in to do so. They're just not going to do it and mortgage that future because 2026 and beyond, that's when things go. You like how I mixed my idioms there? It's flash in a pan, but I said lightning in a pan. So there you go.
It's nice, dude. The way you could pull that off is actually elite. But but kind of something that you said, and I think that's a really great point. This might be what Jed York is saying needs to be done, right? And the fact that it's working, Jesse, probably gives Jed York even more confidence that, like, look, this is what you guys should have been doing. Like no, don't just keep coming to me saying I need to pay this guy or we need to, trade for this guy, things like that. Develop your young guys, work with the team that you've drafted, all these types of things. So I think this actually bodes well for Jed York and actually further is like, look, no, I'm not going to give up all of these assets. Like, we're going to keep these assets so that we could continue to refresh this team rather than, keep underperforming with the best roster in the league.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, listen, we're going to make some sleeper picks here in a second. And trigger warning, this is your time to get out. Listen, if you love to defend Brock Purdy to no end, you might want to turn the next segment off. Give us about 10 minutes and then come back into the chat. But we are going to talk the quarterback position. I know it's taboo with the 49ers. You really can't do that. So if that is you, and you get upset easy, you might want to tune out the next segment. But before we get there, we are going to do a little bit of Sleeper. Sleeper is the sponsor all year long here at Last Second Sports. You can get a 100% deposit match of up to $100 using promo code LSS. And you can also get a free $20 entry without even making a deposit if you use the same promo code. So if you're on the fence, now's the time to do it. Link is in the description, or you can download the app, use promo code LSS, Get your free 20 bones, play, see what you think. And listen, I'm getting, speaking of, you were talking about getting drug on Twitter. I'm getting drug in this fantasy football league. And that's all right, though. It's all right. I'm here for the long haul. It's not just about this season. I'm also looking at 2026 and beyond, Sunil. All right. So we
Hey.
have our fantasy league in Sleeper even before they were a sponsor. And Sleeper, I got to say, the app is super easy to use. I really, truly do enjoy it. So let's make some picks, brother. Thursday night football coming up. We're definitely going to go Jordan Love. We're taking our freebie. This is one of my favorite things about Sleeper. They're going to give you that freebie every single week. So let me know if there's anything that you see here. We can either go Justin Jefferson, 82.5 receiving yards, Lad McConkey, 55.5. I feel like that's a lock on the more. You know what? I'm going to make the executive decision there.
Nice.
We can go. Ooh. What do you think right here, man? What do you think?
I'm thinking Vidal, man.
Oh, I like it, dude. He was my draft crush coming out. You going more on this anytime, TD?
Yeah, I think he's getting a tutty.
I like it. You know what else we can do here? This is what I like about Sleeper too and I figured this out a couple weeks ago. You can tease things down. So I don't know about 256 passing yards for Herbert, who just threw for did throw for 400, I believe. But I feel great about 200 passing yards. So I'm going to tease that down there. And then Justin Jefferson, man, I feel like he's going to get busy. What do you think? Should you talk me down from the ledge? Are we going to go less here, or are we going to go more?
I don't think you could ever go less on JJ. Maybe could you tease that one down? And then it'd be probably a real confident pick?
Oh, 50 plus? Or do you want to go 60 or 70?
I mean, I think 50 is easy.
That's a lock for sure.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, listen, we're not here to make big money, but it would be nice to get some money, right?
Yeah.
All right. I feel good about that. We're gonna 7 times that. We're gonna put $10 on it. I don't ever flex either. It's either all or nothing for me. So we entered it, $72 on the line, essentially. I love it. Again, use promo code LSS to get your 100% deposit match. And even if you don't want to make a deposit, you can get your free 20 bones. All right, trigger warning over. It is time to talk about the quarterback position. Actually, let's get to this super chat real quick. Nicholas says, dumbest thing I've heard all day. Larry said the Niners should sign Ray McLeod as if he didn't talk ish to us days ago. Surely the NFC roundtable won't say something worse tonight. Laugh out loud. Geno Smith talk. Yeah, that's our favorite thing on the NFC West roundtable is talking some Geno Smith for sure. Listen, I'm not, unless I can talk to the person, I'm definitely not going to talk about another content creator's takes. I don't like it when people do that to me and talk behind my back. I appreciate your opinion, but I'm not going to do that to Larry. So appreciate the super chat though, brother. And no, we're not going to talk about Ray at all, I would imagine, on the roundtable. But we are going to talk about Brock Purdy right now, and I want to take a little bit of a spin here on this one. Okay, so we obviously, we talk, is there a quarterback controversy, or should there be, or will there be? I'm not going to talk any of that, but we can talk about where does Brock Purdy rank and QBR and EPA and all the things that we want to talk about. But the bottom line is this: Brock Purdy's not even playing football right now. And he's about to have a 6th week this year where he's not doing so. He signed a massive contract in the offseason. He missed games last year. He missed the NFC Championship a couple years ago. He's missing a big chunk already this season. Who knows when or if he's going to play again. At what point do we say that it's a bad deal? Not because of how he's playing, which we can talk about that too. I mean, he's 1-4 in his last 5 games. He's thrown multiple picks in a majority of those games, a pick in every single one of them. Hasn't played a clean, good football game since December 8th of last year against the Bears. But just in general, from the injury aspect itself, when does this become a bad contract, and are we already there because of this?
Yeah, and I think it's semantics, man. Because when is the question that I think you're really asking, at least from this point. And I think it's too early to tell, Jesse, because ultimately, like, the contract doesn't start till next season, right? They're not paying him whatever $50 million this year, whatever the case may be, right? So yeah, I mean, is it starting off strong? Not very much so, right? Right. And I think, people's argument is like, look at Mac Jones. He's getting a fraction of what Brock Purdy is, but Mac's going to need to get paid next season by somebody, if not the 49ers. Now, would it be 50 million? I don't know. Who knows, right? Who knows what that number is going to be? Maybe it's not 50, maybe it's less than 50. I don't know, but it's hard to just be out on Brock Purdy because, until we could see him play for a certain amount of time, I'm not going to be out on necessarily the player based off of this play. I do think it's fair to say, though, Jesse, if he can't get on the field and you're paying him this much, that is definitely a bad contract. So I think, I think definitely we need to see him play. We need to see him play well. We need him to play soon. It doesn't look good right now, but it's too early to say that it is a bad deal, because if he does come back fully healthy and he plays lights out and, he balls out and does the things that, made people excited about him in the first place, Jesse, because there was a period of time where this team did not feel like it was going anywhere. And then Brock Purdy came in and they just ended up, that Brock Purdy CMC connection, this team, really, really made a run, and that got everybody excited about this squad again and this offense again. Brock Purdy was a big part of that. So we know he has it in him. I do think that, though, people are forgetting, because like you mentioned, some of his play of recently hasn't been that same level. Now, whether, Brock Purdy supporters want to blame it on injuries and the talent around him and things like that. I also think Kyle Shanahan necessarily wasn't on his game the way he is right now. So it would be great to see, Jesse, Brock Purdy playing fully healthy with the way Kyle Shanahan is calling the game right now, with CMC there playing the style of ball CMC is playing, and see if the offense can take another step with Brock Purdy. And if it can, I don't think it's a bad contract. If it can't, then yeah, now we have to have a conversation. But I don't think we have that conversation, Jesse, till next season.
Yeah, I kind of tend to agree with you. And the nice thing is they have the out after next season. So I look at it and say, all right, he's already missed a threshold of games this year that is too much. It's not ideal. If next year he misses 3+ games, then I think you got to exercise that out, because he just clearly can't stay healthy. And the reason I bring this up too is, so this was a topic of conversation on Twitter a couple days ago. And somebody, and I didn't respond. I don't really respond a lot on Twitter to people, but somebody responded, and it wasn't even my tweet initially, but somebody responded to it and said, well, is Joe Burrow bust? Is Lamar Jackson, is his contract bad because of this? And I'll tell you right now, I'm looking at Joe Burrow. I've taken him smooth out of saying, hey, there's a big four in the league. For a long time, year after year, it was like, there's a big four. It's Josh Allen, Mahomes, Lamar, and Burrow. I don't say that anymore. Right now, I say there's a big three. And I've taken Burrow out of that in large part because of his injury. He just cannot stay healthy. And it's like, I don't care how great he is, even when he plays. If you can't be available, that's a problem. That's an absolute problem. So, I'm looking at Brock Purdy. First of all, Brock Purdy's not near the level of Joe Burrow. So if I can say that about Joe Burrow, I certainly can say it about Brock. I don't know that I'm ready to do it yet, but if he misses 3+ games next year, get him out of here, man. It's time to move on. This is the same reason you moved on from Jimmy, and he's not good enough to just hang around and let that big part of the contract balloon up just so that he can miss multiple games a year. He's not carrying you the other 14 or 15 games to make his value worth it. So Joe Burrow, to me, I've knocked him down a peg or two because of his injuries. Brock Purdy's getting close, very, very close for me doing the same. And again, it has nothing to do with how good you are. If you just can't be healthy, you can't be healthy. And Lamar, listen, Lamar's one injury and a 4 or 5 games missed next year from me saying the same thing. It's no longer a big 3. It's a big 2. Like, you just have to be able to stay healthy. It's unfortunate. I mean, we've seen this throughout history. Tracy McGrady, basketball-wise, one of my favorite players, could have been one of the best of all time, but dude, he couldn't stay healthy. So
We're
you
seeing
can't
that
go
now with
off of
Kawhi
what
Leonard.
ifs. Kawhi Leonard is exactly. So, you see this throughout the history of sports. If you can't stay healthy, then nothing else matters. So Brock, his injuries are on the clock for sure. He misses 3+ games next year. It's time to go, man. You got to get rid of this guy. So that's the way that I see it.
For sure. And, the reality is Brock Purdy's still a very young quarterback based off of the amount of games he's played. Jesse, he still needs the reps, man. He's not a fully developed, like, he's not. He still needs things that he needs to develop and get better at, and you can't do that on the sidelines, right? He needs to play, and it's hurting him not only the perception of him, but he needs those reps in game to learn some of the decision making that he's making, to understand what he can and can't do in the system, and to really understand how he helps this team win versus, what plays he makes that helps this team lose. So I think those are key things. And if he can't get on the field, like you mentioned, unfortunately, you just gotta cut ties and find somebody that at least could play, because you can't keep hoping that you could find the gem set, backup quarterback like Mac Jones to help survive. Like, if most teams, you lose your starting quarterback, you're done, right? That's most teams. This is not normal, and it's great that they're able to do it, and they've done it. They did it with Brock Purdy when Jimmy went down, and now they've done it with Mac Jones. That now that Purdy went down, but this isn't sustainable. You can't keep feeling like you have two quarterbacks that could go out there and win meaningful football. That's not how the league works.
Yeah, absolutely. And Wayne brings up Penny Hardaway. Grant Hill's another one. Football, you can go Andrew
Brandon
Luck.
Roy.
It's Brandon
Andrew
Roy, Andrew Luck, Bo Jackson. People hate this take, but I've always said Bo Jackson's the most overrated player in NFL history to me. People talk about him like he's the best running back of all time, or in the conversation of like top 5 because look at how good of an athlete. His career was super short. I mean, I don't know what to do with that. And it was because of injuries. It's super unfortunate. I was a big Bo Jackson fan, but it's like, listen, you can't have 4 years and that's it. Like, you gotta do something, unless you're like Terrell Davis and your 3 years were like you won the MVP award twice and you won the Super Bowl twice and Super Bowl MVP. Like, that's a whole different ball game. But Bo Jackson's injury was cut short too, or his career was cut short too due to injuries. So it happens, man. It definitely happens. Catalyst says, as a Seattle fan, I got to give you all credit with all the injuries. Now Huff, sigh. CMC still has it, and Kittle is so important to the run game. Much love. Well, we appreciate it, Catalyst. You guys are super hot right now, and you're right, man. At some point, like, it's just too much. The Bryce Huff injury is like a quick swift in the nuts is what that felt like. I mean, it sucks. It absolutely sucks. All right. Let's talk a little Kyle Shanahan.
Yep.
Do you, and you're the resident Shanahan, Shan-a-stan, whatever you want to say, Shana fan, I don't know. You're the resident Kyle guy, so I got to ask you this. Do you think this is the best coaching job by Kyle Shanahan since he has been here? Why or why not?
Yeah, I think it is, Jesse. I think it is because of his ability to get the best out of this team, his ability to still get wins, even with all of these challenges, right? It's not that he hasn't had these challenges in the past. They haven't won like this in the past with those challenges, right? So the ability to, get these quality wins in a way that I think has been some of the, I guess, Achilles heels, or at least perception his Achilles heel, meaning, winning close games at the end, making good decisions with time management, winning come from behind games. These are things that people, there's stats galore about how many, one score games he's lost, how many,
he's 1 in 39 in this situation with 2 minutes left. And
exactly. And then, this offensive line, he's on third string offensive lineman and still, getting the offense to move and put up points,
unfortunately,
right?
this whole offensive line outside of Trent Williams is full of third stringers, it feels like.
Yeah, I know. It's true. And, obviously, I think Robert Saleh being on the opposite end takes a lot of pressure off of him, and he's able to be, better coach. But, he's been in his bag, man. Some of the play calling he's been doing, some of the schemes he's been running. I think the fact that, the wide receiver, like the wide receiver that they're depending on the most wasn't even on the roster in the offseason. You know what I mean? Like, so like just with all of that, to be 5-2, to be number one in the NFC West, to be able to see a path to potentially, Jesse, even the number one seed in the NFC, like that is insane. So to me, it shows that I think he's grown as a coach. And you know, Jesse, like Kyle Shanahan is terrible with the media, right? And I think he gets a bad rap from a lot of the media, from a lot of the content creators, because people don't like the way that he maybe represents himself. But the stories that the players are saying about what he did with the Fred Warner tape, with the young players on the defense, what he did with, you know, we're doing 40 runs, and you know, seeing the stuff that San Francisco media put together as far as, you know, the trenches, their highlights that they did, and everybody getting behind this. We're running 40 times. We're going to win if we run 40 times. Man, he is a way better leader than people get him credit for. The players love this guy, and they're willing to go out and play hard for him. And to me, yeah, I think this is his crowning moment, man. I really hope he gets Coach of the Year this season. I think he's getting more flowers this season than he has even in those seasons that they made it to the Super Bowl and things like that. And I think it's great for him, because I think it's really forced him to get back in his bag and really I don't know if he's proving to himself, Jesse, but he has to look himself in the mirror and just be like, man, I really am him, right? I don't know if he ever lost confidence, but this season he has to look at himself and be like, I really am him. I'm really one of the best coaches in this league. And, you know, obviously the season's not done. Obviously there's still a lot more work to do. But man, I don't think there's that many coaches in the league that could do what he's doing right now with this team and have him in the place that he's having right now. And I don't even know if maybe a few years ago Kyle Shanahan would be able to do this, Jesse. That's why I think this is really his best coaching job, and I think he deserves a ton of credit for where they're at right now.
Yeah, this is the second year that I've said that I believe he deserves Coach of the Year, assuming that he can keep it going. And the good thing is the 49ers have started out so hot that they go 5-5 down the stretch. They're at 10 wins. If they can go 6-4, then they get to 11 wins. I think that's a lock for Coach of the Year. Maybe Shane Steichen right now is on a heater with the Colts. So maybe Shane Steichen, but really outside of that, it's like you're not going to give it to Sean McVay. You're not going to give it to, you know, Sirianni or Dan Campbell or anything like that. Those teams were expected to be good teams. The Colts right now, I think the 49ers right now, like that's where I'm looking at. And so I think that Shanahan really has a chance to do it. And, you know, I also, there's this weird thing when we talk about Kyle Shanahan, and we do it all the time, where we talk about him as if he's the offensive coordinator. And when the offense isn't doing good, that's when we want to drag. And I say, I'm using we loosely, like just we as a fan base. Anytime there's any conversation about Kyle Shanahan doing a bad job, it's always like his offense is struggling. It's like he's the head coach of the team. So when the offense is doing well, we also can't say he's a good head coach because the offense is doing well. Right now, what this team is doing, everything falls under his umbrella. The defense falls under his umbrella. The special teams falls under his umbrella. The offense falls under his umbrella. The making up for the injuries and who to play in certain positions, and, you know, when to call timeouts and challenge play, everything falls under his umbrella. And all I know is we can nitpick this thing to death, but the 49ers are 5-2 with all the injuries that they have. They should not be here. And beating the Rams was such an impressive thing, especially watching the Rams operate after that. The way they beat the piss out of the Jags last week, 35-7, that game becomes more and more impressive by the week. The 49ers are doing some phenomenal things. Kyle Shanahan deserves all the credit, and maybe the wheels fall off. If the wheels fall off, then certainly he's not Coach of the Year. But man, if they can go 6-4 down the stretch, which is not far-fetched at all, give this man Coach of the Year. This is easily the best coaching job that he has done, and it's not particularly close, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, look, I know the Rams game was great, Jesse. I think that this win against the Falcons was what really impressed me the most out of all the wins that they've had this season, just because of just what they didn't have, right? I think even last week when they lost to the Bucks, there was obviously the shock of losing Fred Warner, but they were still really competing in that game. I don't remember, Jesse, did you think that they were going to lose this game, or did you have them winning this game against the Falcons?
I did have them winning this game. The Falcons, to me, are a completely different team on the road than they are at home. So I did have
Got
the
it.
49ers winning this one. Yeah.
I think you have, yeah, I know we went through it, and I know you had them at like 9-8. I think I had them at like 12-5 or something like that.
Yeah.
But, I just really, I think I felt a lot more confident with this win than even after the Rams game, just because of the way they did it, just because of holding Bijan to what they did. The fact that this offense, I felt like, was moving the ball with ease. It was just some bad, plays, interception here, like, bad execution on a third and whatever. I don't know, man. I think it's clicking, and I just, I think week after week you're getting more and more confident with this team, which the fact that they're winning and they know they're not playing their best ball and they're winning against quality teams. People forget that last week the Falcons pretty much handled the Bills, right? That are perennial, everybody thinks is the Super Bowl contender. It was impressive, man. And I don't think we could have, like I said, I don't think even Shanahan a few years ago is getting what he's getting out of this team. So I do think that he deserves a lot of credit. And I do think that, this is a phenomenal coaching job that he's been doing with this team.
Yeah. I just, again, I want to pound the table for everything, good or bad, falls under his umbrella. So when things are going good, we can't just look at the offense and be like, well, the offense isn't doing what it's supposed to do. No. He's the head coach of this team. He's not the offensive coordinator, and vice versa. When everything's going bad, but the offense is clicking, he's not the offensive coordinator. Yes,
Right.
he's the play caller, but he is the head coach of this team. Everything falls under Kyle Shanahan. So judge him based off the totality of the team, good or bad. That's how you judge a head coach, not based off of his offense. He is not just the offensive coordinator. So I want to say that again. And that's how I'm always going to judge Kyle Shanahan, and how I'm going to talk about Kyle Shanahan is based off of him being the head coach of this team.
Yeah. Jesse, what's your confidence level on this team right now? You still seeing them as 9-8?
God, man, I hate to even talk bad about this team because I so love what they're doing. Like, this is my favorite Niner team in a long time. Like, I'm thoroughly enjoying this year. I'm gonna. I just did this a week ago, and I had them beating the Falcons anyway. So I'm gonna stick with the 9-8 as we went through the season. I think a part of that though was them losing to the Texans this week, and right now, just on the face, I'm gonna pick them to beat the Texans. So initially, when we went through that, I think I had them losing to the Texans. So if they beat the Texans, then they're already one game ahead of what I had them, and that would put them at 10-7, which means I'm right back to the original prediction. So yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say, let's talk after this week in Houston, but it's not like Houston's like some great team or anything. It's
beat
just,
them. Yeah, they're not going to have Nico.
Yeah, it's just, it's tough. So we'll see. We'll see how this week goes. It's just so hard for me because the way the 49ers have won up until this last week, like the way that they won this last week, if they can repeat that, which means stopping the run and running the ball, they're going to be a hard out for anybody. But prior to that, they weren't forcing turnovers. They weren't running the ball effectively. They weren't stopping the run consistently. It's hard to win in the league that way. And if that is the team that they truly are, I don't think they're as good as what their record says. But if they can do what they did this last week, then they absolutely are as good as their record says. So let's see what happens this week. And week by week, we're gonna have to judge this team. But right now, I'll stick with the 9-8. But listen, I love this team, so I hope they keep it going. I really do.
Me too, man.
Listen,
Me too.
That's going to be the show for this evening. I got to get over to the NFC West Roundtable. Sunil, thank you as always for joining me on Tuesdays. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much for your contributions. Appreciate you. If you want to hear more 49ers talk and NFC West talk, type in NFC West Roundtable. We'll be live there. We need the 49ers support, so make sure you come tap in. Sunil, much love. I'll be back tomorrow behind enemy lines with my guy Ruben, who covers the Texans. And until then, much love. Peace.